I always thought we had the perfect marriage, 10 years, two beautiful kids, a home filled with laughter and what I believed was unconditional love. Sarah was my everything. Her smile could light up the darkest room, and her touch was my safe harbor. Never, not for a single second, doubted her loyalty. Why would I? We were us, the couple everyone looked up to, the one that proved true love wasn't just a fairy tale. But fairy tales, I've learned, are just stories. And my story was about to take a turn I never saw coming. It all started subtly. A few late nights at the office, which wasn't unusual for her high-pressure job. Then came the hushed phone calls she'd take in another room, the way her phone was suddenly always face down, guarded like a fortress. When I'd ask who called, she'd wave it off with a casual, "Oh, just work," or a friend from college. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. I trusted her. The thought that she could be deceiving me was so foreign, so impossible, it didn't even register as a possibility. It was like trying to imagine the sun rising in the west. It just didn't compute. But the small, unsettling moments began to stack up, like a Jenga tower on a shaky table. There was the new perfume she started wearing, a scent I'd never smelled on her before. The sudden interest in a new gym on the other side of town. The weekend work retreats that became more and more frequent. Each one was a tiny crack in the foundation of our life. But I was too busy, too trusting, too in love to see the building was about to crumble. I'd ask her about her day, and her answers became vague, glossing over details she used to share with excitement. The light in her eyes when she looked at me seemed to dim, replaced by a distance I couldn't bridge. The breaking point came on a Tuesday, a completely ordinary, forgettable Tuesday that would become seared into my memory forever. I had a terrible toothache and decided to leave work early to see a dentist. I called Sarah to let her know, but my call went straight to voicemail. I figured she was in a meeting. On my way home, I drove past a little cafe we used to love, a place we hadn't been to in years, and that's when I saw her car. My heart did a little flip. Maybe she was surprising me getting my favorite coffee. I smiled, the first genuine smile in weeks, and pulled over, ready to walk in and see that beautiful face. But the smile died on my lips before I even got out of the car. Through the cafe window, I saw her. She was sitting at a corner table, bathed in the warm afternoon light, and she wasn't alone. She was with a man. I didn't recognize him. He was leaning in close, his hand covering hers on the table. But it wasn't just that. It was the way she was looking at him. It was the look she used to give me, a look of pure adoration, of intimacy, of a shared secret world. And then I saw her laugh. It was a deep, uninhibited laugh, the kind I hadn't heard from her in so long. A laugh she was sharing with him, not me. In that moment, everything froze. The world went silent. The traffic, the people on the sidewalk, the pounding in my head, it all just faded away. All I could see was her, smiling at him. Her loving smile, the one I thought was reserved for me and our children. But behind it was a betrayal so profound it felt like a physical blow. The truth hit me with the force of a tidal wave, pulling me under, stealing the air from my lungs. Every late night, every hushed call, every vague explanation, it all clicked into place. It wasn't a puzzle anymore. It was a finished picture, and it was hideous. I just sat there in my car, numb. I don't know for how long. 10 minutes. It's an hour. It felt like a lifetime. I watched them get up to leave. I watched him put his arm around her waist. I watched her lean into him, naturally, comfortably. As they walked out of the cafe, they passed right by my car. She didn't see me. Her eyes were only for him. I drove home in a daze. The house felt alien, a movie set for a life that was no longer mine. The photos on the wall of our wedding, of our family vacations, they felt like relics from another man's life. They were mocking me. When she came home a couple of hours later, she was humming a cheerful tune. She walked in, smiled that same loving smile, and kissed me on the cheek. "Hey, honey, long day," she said, completely oblivious. The smell of his cologne faintly lingered on her. My heart shattered into a million pieces. The woman I loved, the mother of my children, was living a double life. And the worst part, the part that broke me completely, it was how good she was at it. How she could look me in the eye, smile, and lie without a flicker of guilt. The loving smile wasn't a sign of her affection for me. It was her mask. That night, I confronted her. The cheerful facade crumbled instantly, replaced by tears and frantic denials. But I had seen it with my own eyes. The denials soon gave way to excuses, then to justifications, and finally, to a cold, hard confession. The man, a colleague. It had been going on for 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of stolen moments. 6 months where I was the fool, believing in a love that was a one-sided illusion. She said she was sorry, that she didn't know how it happened, that she still loved me. But her words were hollow. Trust was gone, incinerated in the fire of her deceit. The weeks that followed were a blur of pain, anger, and confusion. We tried counseling, we tried talking. But how do you rebuild a house when the very ground it was built on has turned to quicksand? Every time she smiled at me, all I could see was her sitting in that cafe with him. The image was burned into my mind. Her loving smile no longer brought me comfort, it brought me agony. It was a constant, brutal reminder of her betrayal. I looked at our children, and my heart ached for the family I had failed to keep whole, for the innocence they were about to lose. Ultimately, we couldn't fix it. The damage was too deep. The smile that once represented my entire world now represented its complete and utter destruction. Separating was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It was admitting that my marriage, my perfect life, was over. It was saying goodbye, not just to my wife, but to the dream we had built together. The pain of this kind of betrayal is a heavy burden, and it changes you. It forces you to look at the world and yourself in a different light. If you are going through something similar, please know you are not alone. The journey to healing is long, and it's not linear. There will be good days, and there will be terrible days. It's so important to reach out, to talk to friends, family, or a professional therapist. You don't have to carry this weight by yourself. Seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. There are resources available that can guide you through this darkness. Remember to be kind to yourself. Path forward is uncertain, but it exists. You can, and you will find your way back to the light. It takes time, but healing is possible. Thanks for listening.